When we talk about recovery in the Indian economy, and especially after the second wave of COVID-19 hit, the story of real estate in India is especially one that is noteworthy. From June to September, this quarter has been a crucial one, an important one for real estate, and a lot of data coming out from various agencies that track the numbers claim that we've seen between a 90 to, in some cases, 124% increase in the sales of homes between June to September compared to the same period last year. This is the top 7 to 8 cities. Now, when looking at these numbers, one has to remember that June to September last year was a pretty bad one. We were still in the throes of a lockdown. The economy was shaken up completely, and real estate sector was bleeding like the rest of the economy. So relatively, it looks pretty good. But anecdotally, if you talk to people, if you talk to those in the business, they say the mood is upbeat. We want to do a mood check today, and we want to do it from the major regions of the country, which is why today on the show, I have developers, large players in different parts of India to talk about what they have been seeing and what is the kind of outlook they have in the real estate sector. So let me welcome today Mr. Rajendra Joshi, CEO of the residential business of the Brigade Group on the show. Navin Raheja, MD of Raheja Developers is joining us today. Boman Irani is on the show with us. He's a CMD of the Rustomjee Group, and Gulam Zia, Executive Director, Knight Frank, joins us as well. So welcome to all of you. Great to have you on the show, and we're hoping to get a well-rounded idea of what is happening in the real estate sector. Is all the optimism being backed by numbers on the ground? I suppose would be my first question. And let me go across to Mr. Raheja with this. So, Mr. Raheja, the point I was making is that June to September 2021 has been great and looks fantastic compared to June to September 2020. But June to September 2020 was an unusually bad patch. Overall, would you say that this quarter and the outlook has improved dramatically, even when compared to pre-COVID?
We'll just sum up in one sentence. Happy days are here again.
Wow. You want to elaborate on that, Mr. Raheja?
Happy days are here again. As I look at, compared with the last year, on the plotted developments, we have seen an upsurge of between 20 to 50%. There is huge demand coming. Prices are going up. Almost every fortnight or a month, we look at a substantial increase in demand and prices. So it is the time for North India to celebrate real estate. We are finding, I tell you, the plotted colony which we were last year projecting to be sold at about 50,000 rupees a square yard. That is selling today at 80 to 90,000 rupees a square yard. And still, whenever a project is being launched, it is not staying for more than a week or 15 days. So this is one thing. Second, very, very good and great news about Haryana real estate is that they have come up with a farmhouse policy which allows construction of almost 10,000 square feet over 1 acre, including basement. So that means people can own mansions and villas on the boundary of the Gurgaon city or any other city in Haryana. That is I think, real great opportunity has opened up for investments. And the, post-COVID, people, even if they were living in very, very high upmarket apartments, they have also, started moving into these investments, because having a apartment of 5,000 to 10,000 square feet which is priced in a luxury complex, which is priced at 25 crores plus. You know, moving the same, moving your home to a 1 acre plot with similar area and all other facilities, and even your organic food. And in post-COVID, people just want to live in bigger, spacious places, you know, where you don't have to exchange greetings in the lifts and all, and you are not using the same facilities. You have your own independent domains, own independent systems, own independent life. So this is actually making a big change. So this is second thing which has been a great news for the real estate in northern India. This policy came on 17th of September last month only. So this is the second thing. And on top of it, the government permitted, on commercial front also, government permitted that instead of composite commercial complexes, you can get them converted into plotted commercial arcades. So migration is being permitted from commercial complex to plotted commercial development, that is into arcades. Now that gives a confidence to customer, because he's buying a commercial plot, then he gets a lot of time to build, say, 4 or 5 or more floors on his own plot and use it according to size. There is no limitation on minimum or maximum size of the plot. So the same commercial plots can be now used by the people in their own way, in their own style, whether they want to make it for long-term lease or they want to make it for their own office building.
So that gives us a good sense. That gives us a good sense, Mr. Raheja. I'll come back to you for more. So we've started with the point of view from North India. And Mr. Raheja saying that there have been some government notifications in the state of Haryana, for example, which have made things easier. He sounds very upbeat. Let me now come to the western part of the country. Mr. Irani, Mumbai typically contributes the largest numbers when it comes to housing sales, even commercial to some extent. Do you see that trend continuing? We had an opportunity to speak a couple of months ago. Has this quarter only stabilized that trend?
So, Tamanna, I want to just state this and be clear the record over there. MMR this time is about 55% of the total residential real estate. This is something that surprises me because it was not the trend earlier. But let me speak to the people who are looking at buying a home. You will never ever in our entire lifetime get an opportunity like this. Reasons are aplenty. Home loan rates are at 6.7 to 6.9 and money is available. This makes your ability to buy, let's say, a future home or a larger home that much easier. And you have the opportunity of upscaling your requirement. Prices of homes have not risen. They have stayed where they were. All developers are holding on to their prices, even in spite of an increase in the cost of materials that have gone into homes. Steel prices have rocked up, cement prices have gone up, labor is moving up, labor is scarce, labor prices are moving up. In spite of that, prices have remained stagnant or have remained there, which itself is something that won't last for too long, right? You can see that in the stock market, Tamanna, particularly, a lot of people have made a lot of money, and this money, they say, wow, enough, we want to kind of take some of it and put it into homes. So there is a good amount of traction, whether it is for ready to move in inventory, which is absolutely flying off the shelf, and also under construction homes with recognized or trusted developers. And over here, a quick number again for you, Tamanna. Actually, even if the number of home sales are going down, the number of home sales to, let's say, the trusted developers are rising by as much as 100%, right? Generally, people are upbeat. They've been through a very bad down. And so, the YOLO, the you only live once, is kind of seizing people with a vengeance. And they've realized that they need a larger home. I can just give you an example. If in 2019 you spoke to me, I'd be speaking to my architects and saying, how do I get the home size down to 615 or 610 square feet? Today I'm saying 650 square feet for a 2-bedroom. I'm speaking carpet area. A balcony is a must, etc., etc., etc. Plotted developments, like Mr. Raheja mentioned, are absolutely new to MMR. I mean, there's a buying frenzy amongst them. And second homes have also become something people are encouraged to look at, to buy. An entire new market has opened up. Millennials are now buying. They used to be the ones we used to always worry about, and we used to always think, these guys don't want to kind of put down anchor anywhere. They'll be here, they'll be there. They want to sail over the world. They're all buying. Okay, homes are, as per our study, are becoming the new recreational hotspots. People are inviting people home, having takeaways brought home. The usual, entertainment at home has become that much bigger. And finally, which is, I would say, something so rock solid in moving the needle hugely, was the advantage the Maharashtra government gave, where they were a first mover and they gave a stamp duty advantage of 3% first and then 2%. Believe you me, nothing is as sweet as what the government gives. Now, you asked a question specifically, will this party continue? I say yes, for all the reasons that I mentioned earlier. Home loan rates low, prices are still where they were, costs are going up. I can tell all your viewers that you will see a 7 to 10% increase in prices very, very soon. And it's not because the developer is lining his pockets, it's only because the costs have gone up. So if there is a good time, and finally a home buying is such an emotional decision. You always buy homes during a good season. You're looking at a good day. There is never a better period than Diwali, Dasara and Diwali. So hey, this is the time. Go out there and buy the home of your dreams. Choose well, and you'll be
wow.
Happy for years to come.
Okay, so very strong sales pitches, I would say, and optimism coming there from big developers in northern India, in western India. Let me go across to Mr. Joshi of the Brigade Group. Now, a lot of talk, Mr. Joshi, of how the boom in IT and the insane salaries that those in this space are now being offered, product managers, software engineers, all of that is translating into purchases of homes, larger homes, higher priced homes. Are you seeing that?
Certainly, yes, Tamanna. Bangalore, being the IT capital, has seen this kind of traction. In fact, compared to the first wave of COVID, during the second wave, the sales did much better compared to the last year, first quarter and the second quarter. Bangalore has been the IT capital. Even in cities like Hyderabad and Chennai, there is a demand for larger homes. And as Mr. Irani pointed out, the profile of the buyers is becoming younger and younger. The people who are in their late 20s, early 30s, couples who are just recently married, they want to buy a home and own a home. I think that's the trend that we are all clearly seeing in the South Indian cities.
Yeah. So, Gulam Zia, now my viewers are going to be asking me, you've represented North, you've represented West, you've represented South on this panel. Where is the eastern part of India? You're going to have to fill that gap. And I will also ask you about absolute numbers. Now, I was looking at some data. Of course, Knight Frank has put out data for June to September. You've put it out at a little over 64,000 residential homes sold in the top 8 cities, if I'm not mistaken. In absolute numbers, isn't it still very, very small compared to the potential that India has?
Well, Tamanna, first of all, let me explain that numbers that we are talking about, while for the top 8 cities looks small, but let's not forget that even before pandemic, even before the first wave of COVID, we had a couple of bad years for real estate, residential real estate, let's talk about. So the numbers that we're talking about, the expectations that India should do a huge number, at least we have to yet look at those numbers that you're hinting at. And let me also now, when you have heard 2 promoters and a professional from different parts of the country talking about essentially looking like a sales pitch, let me talk about numbers now. The numbers, you just gave one part of it, but the numbers are stark. They're right in front of us. And to start with Mumbai, obviously you have asked me to represent East. I'll come to that for sure. But before that, let me talk about the western side of it. The numbers we've been watching for last 4 consecutive months, and month after month, I can tell you that these are decadal bests, at least in Mumbai market. And I'm talking about this with numbers in front of me. The sales transactions happening in Mumbai were decadal best in July, decadal best in August, and definitely decadal best in September. And let's not forget, last year, September, we had a 3% stamp duty cut as well, which is what Boman spoke about. And let's not forget that in spite of that 3% stamp duty cut, we had seen about 5,500 apartments sold in Mumbai. And this year, without any stamp duty cut, we saw more than that number of apartments sold. So it is clear and evident that the stamp duty cut, while had a good sentimental impact on the consumers, it has actually, even after pulling the stamp duty cuts out, the momentum has continued. And that's something now coming to East. Now, on the other side, Karnataka had also declared a stamp duty cut and had fairly decent impact on sales. But since you spoke about East, that I need to talk or represent East, let me talk about Kolkata. Kolkata was a kind of a dead market for last almost about 7-8 years. And there was no hope the way things were moving in Kolkata. And then about a month and a half back, they declared a stamp duty cut in Kolkata as well. And tell you what, in Kolkata, we saw in last 1 month about 6,500 apartments sold in Kolkata. And that is something which is definitely the decadal best for Kolkata as well. So my point is, and I'm talking numbers, these are all stark numbers. I'm not making a sales pitch. This is a statistical approach to the whole approach or to the transactions happening out there. And these numbers are stark. You may normally want to hear somebody like a property consultant to give you some very muted numbers, but unfortunately I can't give you muted numbers because the numbers are so stark on your face. And these numbers are very, very positive in terms of transactions, much better than even pre-COVID number in most of the cities. I would say NCR is not yet reaching that destination where Mumbai, Kolkata, Bengaluru, and even Chennai. Of late, Chennai has sprung up a huge surprise. The number of transactions in Chennai have also shot up all-time best, even in this last September month. So overall, the numbers are very clearly in front of us. It's positivity all around. NCR to follow, but rest of the places, all the 6-7 cities are looking very positive. Over to you, Tamanna.
No, absolutely. So I'm looking at data. You're right. We should look at it from the perspective of data, and the data does show a marked improvement. There are no two ways about it. Prop equity data, which came out today, says housing sales in Delhi NCR property market fell 22% during January to August, but new supply has increased 42%. So that bet on the future is being seen from the real estate industry as well. So now we've covered broadly what's happening pan-India. I want to move to other bigger trends. So let me come back to you, Mr. Raheja. Now, we are seeing more sales in residential property, as you mentioned, in the high income group, in maybe luxury properties. I want to ask you 2 questions which will give us an idea of how secular this trend is. Are you seeing a kind of a bump up across segments overall in the industry, and is this also continuing beyond the top 7-8 cities?
Let me talk about my company. We are working across all segments. We are into affordable housing where the minimum ticket size of an affordable home is just 12 lakhs. And we are into luxury housing where we have apartment at plus 40 crores also. And we are into commercial also at a very small ticket size. And we are into a commercial at a very big ticket size for large anchor stores also. We have mixed models on commercial, we lease come sales, we do that way. I did talk about only the new policies and new provisions where there is going to be a dramatic takeoff. Because plotted policy came in Haryana only last year. Plotted policy for the small plots. That is what we call is the new Deen Dayal Jan Niwas Yojana, where we get plots for 150 square meters maximum size. Then the farmhouse policy gives us minimum size of 1 acre and maximum size you can go even up to 3 acres, 5 acres, whatever. Thus, the SCO, that is shop cum office policy, that gives plots for any size but commercial plots. So actually speaking, the customer sentiment had been very, very fluid and they had very bad experience with developers. The projects are unduly delayed in northern India. You know, they are so much delayed that people don't want to buy anything under custom.
Yeah.
So these policies have actually given a ready opportunity to the prospective buyers that there is no risk. They are just buying a plot. So that is why they are thronging in numbers, every day. Now, when it comes to the under construction and the other segment which you are talking about, the other segment, as I look at, as when it was the affordable housing, I think the northern Indian market survived only because of affordable housing. All big developers were virtually not performing at all. Only the developers which were into affordable housing like Signature Global, Pyramid, and Parina and all these people, they were performing, but there the ticket size and the price line is also controlled by the government. So that segment kept on selling, but as I look at it, that was just a cash generation, a liquidity generation and a cycle that the market sustained for affordable. But there is a huge demand for affordable. Now, if I talk about Deen Dayal Jan Niwas Yojana plots, they give opportunity for you to make 4 floors over and above the stilt. So with buying one plot, you are able to create 4 apartments. There is CLSS still available. That is about, for up to 60 square meter plot and 6 lakh loan. You have 6.5 lakh worth of subsidy still available. 6.5% subsidy, interest subsidy still available. And currently the interest rate is just about 6.5 to 7%. So that means if you buy a home today through a apartment channel over a plot, you are virtually buying a built-up floor with 0 interest for 15 years. Price with 0 interest, because 6.5 to 7, 6.5 is the interest rate, CLSS itself. That is the subsidy available from government itself.
Interest rate, right?
So the interest-free apartments for years.
Yes.
And that is why these plots are...
So I'm getting the picture. You're saying that there is interest in all segments. It's not just in the HNI kind of a segment. Boman, let me come to you the second part of the question. Are we seeing this only? You talked about MMR region accounting for over 50% of residential sales. That is quite a standout figure, I must say. But are we seeing that, growth in real estate to smaller towns and cities as well?
I cannot say much about that, Tamanna. All I can say is the MMR, that is, our surrounding areas around Mumbai are doing exceedingly well. I'll take the question that you actually asked, Mr. Raheja. Are the larger apartments selling because of any particular reason? All the reasons that I gave earlier. Stock market is booming. Mumbai stands to gain from that. People's salaries have gone up. What you asked, Mr. Joshi, IT companies are not the only ones that are paying extra. All of us are paying a very good salary as of right now. Talent retention has become something that we've started focusing on, from letting go people to trying to hold them back at all and every count. And also the fact that, home loan rates are low. The smartest are always those people at the upper end of the chain, the rich, as you may call them, or we may call them. They are the ones to realize that this is the best time to go ahead and take a home loan and then, buy a home, because they get a tax break, and B, at the same point of time, there is also the advantage of paying the lowest interest rates ever. So a combination of all of this is very potent, and we see, especially in Mumbai and MMR, there is a remarkable move for ready-to-move-in inventory, especially in the larger apartments. And people, customers, we all know are value purchasers, and they see tremendous value in buying these larger homes because, as early as maybe 2015 and till today, the prices remain more or less stagnant. Gulam will be able to throw a lot more light on that. But you can just imagine that your buying power has gone up even more than 2015 because of the interest rates being low. Okay, Tamanna, I'm going to have to sign out. Is that okay with everybody?
But my question wasn't that. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine, Boman. Thank you for joining us on this leg. But my question wasn't why are people buying larger apartments. My question was that is this influx of interest coming for larger apartments, or is it across categories? Let me take that to you, Mr. Joshi, because this gives us a sense whether this is going to be a trend which will actually sustain and whether it spreads beyond a small group of people.
So, Tamanna, the answer to that question is very simple. Are you seeing traction for larger apartments across affordable? And if somebody was buying, say, 800 square feet apartment, easy, wanting to move to a 900,000 square feet apartment, someone who's buying 1,200, 1,300, he wanting to move to a 1,500, 1,800 square feet apartment, the answer is yes. I think one of the things that people are realizing, particularly in cities like Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, is that the work from home is going to stay. It's not going to vanish as everybody is thinking. It will stay. There would be a hybrid model as everybody is talking about, and therefore you will need some space for your work other than your living and bedrooms, etc. So which is why people are now looking for larger spaces. In our own portfolio, we have seen larger traction for 3 and 4 bedroom units, not only in the luxury segment, but also in the mid segment. So this trend towards the larger apartments, I would see, as Boman was pointing, that the life is now actually becoming inwards. People are looking how they live their life, because most of the time earlier, people would step out of their home at 9, come back at 9, and therefore user came, ate, and slept. That's changing now. People are looking at the kind of spaces that they're living in. They want larger spaces, nicer spaces. So it is across segments, not only in the high-end luxury segment.
Okay, so everyone wants to move a notch up. That will definitely help. But Gulam, let me come back to the question. I mean, you remember clearly, obviously, I remember there was a time in the real estate market, I think in the very heady days, when suddenly a Lucknow, Ahmedabad, a Nagpur, all of these areas became hot destinations, and a lot of interest was from investors. Now, what are you seeing at this stage? When you say that the figures show very starkly that we are in a positive trend, is it a widespread trend, or is this still restricted to the top 7-8 cities, boosted by higher salaries, stock market investments, and that kind of a segment who now realizes that they want to live in a larger, more comfortable home?
Yeah, the trend is whatever we spoke so far was for the top 8 cities. Now shifting focus to the rest of the rest of the cities which really matter, which could be at least 25-30 more cities where the populations would be upwards of 10 to 15 lakh and beyond. Those cities, you're right, somewhere before global financial crisis in 2007-8, there was a huge focus on those cities because we were expecting quite a democratic kind of a spread of real estate all over the country. But then after that, there was a lull in all those smaller markets. And post the pandemic, when work from home came up as an option, many of these professionals or workers shifted to their hometowns, etc., leaving their rental accommodations in these top 7-8 cities. So the thought was many of the corporates were looking at catching them where they were and creating office spaces in those smaller cities, and giving, obviously, when you have jobs created in those smaller cities, then you will have reflection of the same over the residential real estate as well. However, recently, last couple of months, many of the organizations are gradually coming to terms with the new reality. Post-vaccination, you may not need to be away from office all the time. So that initially we're looking at about 3 months back, we're looking at single digit occupancy. People coming to office in ITS industry was in single digit. But that has started shooting up. It has gone up to beyond almost about 30 to 35%. And it is expected that most of these big companies are also expecting their people to come back by year end. And that is something which is happening because of a great vaccination drive all over the country. So there is a possibility, or there is a thought that the other cities will also see their fair share of growth. But that is something which we'll have to really wait and watch. I would want to wait for a couple of more quarters to convincingly answer that even the other cities are getting their fair share of growth, at least in the interim. I would rather say that it is stable. It is not, there is no investment surge as we saw somewhere in 2007-8. That is not yet coming in. To answer your question specifically, there is not much of an investment interest anywhere in those cities that you're highlighting.
Yeah, so that madness of 2007 and 8 is not something which we're seeing replicated right now. This is own use, people who have gone into buying houses because of the experience that they've had, and they need a bigger space, they need a more comfortable space. So very user-led kind of a boom. Well, we hope it sustains. Real estate is good for the economy because it employs so many people. So the more houses that are sold, that means the more money comes in, the more investment comes in, the more people get employed, and it just improves overall consumption and economic growth. So we hope that that positive cycle continues. Thank you to all of you for joining us on the discussion today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.